Hi. I want to tell you this story. This was 2012. This is when I had my first heart attack and my whole outer body experience that I experienced. I was only pulseless for 2 minutes, and a lot happened in 2 minutes. It's because time doesn't exist. It can freeze, it can go forward, it can go backwards. So my first heart attack I had, we just had our son chosen. He was 2 weeks old. I was at the top of the world. I got to take him home, the day after I had him. And with my other children, with Angel, I didn't get to take him home because he went to heaven. And Cadence, she had a really bad jaundice, so she had to be in the hospital for 4 days before I could take her home. But I was just ecstatic. I was so thankful and grateful that, we had a healthy son chosen, and he was 2 weeks old. And I went to go get some food at Taco Bell. I was in the drive-thru of Taco Bell, and I was thanking him, praying to him, because I always had that personal relationship with him. I always, talked to him like I'd talk to anybody. So I was thanking him for, giving us a healthy son. And I decided, okay, I decided, I'm going to give you myself completely, my mind, body, and soul. And I told the higher power this, and I said, here I am. I give you myself completely. Do what you wish with me. I give you my mind, body, and soul. Do what you wish with me. And so I'm bawling my eyes out. I order my food, and I'm just talking to him and thanking him again, and I go to give the lady my money for my food, and I'm sitting there waiting, and I passed out. I ran into this fence, and then at that point I was hovering above my body. I could see myself slumped over the steering wheel, and then I could hear this police officer that was coming around the corner. He was on a motorcycle, and I see him pull me out. He starts doing chest compressions and then calling 911. Stat, I need cold blue in the field. And at that point, I shot up. I was like going through this wormhole, and at first it was slow. So then at that point I felt spirits. I felt people that were trapped, that had unfinished business, that couldn't accept that they've passed, and I could feel them. And then I just started going really, really, really fast. It's like super fast. And to the point where I passed out. And I wake up. I'm in this field of like tall grass. And there's a breeze out. And there's wildflowers everywhere. And it smelled so beautiful. I have not smelt anything on this earth that smelled as good as those wildflowers that I was smelling. And it was beautiful out, and I felt so much at peace and joy and love. And then I see from a distance my horse, April, that passed away in 2011. She was all shiny, all bright, and had really long mane and tail, and she was beautiful, and just like I remember her. And she came running up to me. She kneels down and lets me get on her, takes me to this higher power God, your God, the higher power. And so I weeping my eyes out on his lap and confessing all my sins and thanking him. And the first thing that he told me, he's like, "You got it, Sarah. This is why I did this to you, the way I did this to you, for your own confirmation that I do exist, and that you got it. That's all I ask from everybody, is to go on faith and to have that personal relationship and to give themselves to him completely, your mind, body, and soul." And he said, "You got it. That's all. That's all I ask from everybody." And we started talking telepathically. And he started telling me all kinds of information that, you know, I'm his soldier. He made all of us very powerful beings. We are very powerful beings. And he created all of us in his own image. And he also told me, you know, all these religions out here are wrong. They fear me. They don't embrace me when they should embrace me. They shouldn't fear me. And they have got it all twisted. And it's because man, he told me, because man has put what he has given, messages that he has given them, into this Bible. And it's all was interpreted by man, not him, not the higher power. And he said it's wrong. I mean, they've taken pieces of the Bible out. They've like rewritten it. They've kind of used it against him, because I had that sense that he was telling me that they use that against him, that the higher power. And he also told me all these religions out here that man has made are wrong. He says that you shouldn't worship him in false idols, or, you know, God is, or the higher power is everywhere. And he said, especially stay away from the Catholicism, because they have done so much evil, so much pain, and they've used God, you know, to back up their evil ways and their evil decisions and their evil, very evil. And he told me, he's all, prepare yourself for 2017 and 18. Specifically, he told me those years. And he said, I will give you the strength to go before congregations, before masses of people, and tell your story, and to get your story out there. And he told me, and I'm like, well, you know how I am in crowds and speaking in public. And he's all, yeah, I know, but I will give you the strength, and I will give you the words to say when the time comes. And he also, you know, was chuckling in here. He was like, well, I know the answer to this question, but I have to still ask you this. Do you want to stay, or do you want to go? And I looked at him and smiled and laughed and said, well, you know the reason. You know what the reason is I want to go back. You gave me a wonderful, loving husband, a soulmate. You've given me 3 beautiful children. And he's all, yeah, you're right. They're soldiers. They're my soldiers. I gave you Anthony, and I gave you your children. And I was like, yes, I know, you came to me in a dream. And because I asked you for him. And he's like, yeah, I will, you know, the time will come, because I was like, I want to fight this evil that's in this world, in this earth, because it dwells on earth. And I was so anxious, and I was like, I want to fight this evil for you. I know you give me the power. And he's like, yes, I will. I will, you know, you are my soldiers. I will come for you. There will be a time where I will come for you. And so he's like, before you leave, you need to see your loved ones. So I'm walking down this path, and I see people and houses, and it's just like earth, but with peace. So much peace and love and joy and happiness, and everybody got along, and everybody was at peace with each other, and not at fighting with each other and have evil with them. And it was just so much peace and love. So I'm walking down this path, and I see in the distance a small child, full on head to toe body armor, like medieval body armor. It was shiny, it was silver and gold, and he had this helmet that had this big huge red tassel on it. He comes running up to me, and he's got this big huge sword, and he's like, Mommy, look what I got! Look what I got! And I knew right away that was my son Angel that passed away. I just knew it in my heart. I felt it. And he comes running up to me, and he says, Mommy, look what I got! And I'm like, whoa, son, that's a big sword you got there. And I took his helmet off, and I looked at him, and he had wavy, like, auburnish hair, and he looked so beautiful, and he looked almost just like me, and, you know, and Anthony, and he had a little bit of features of his dad, but more so he looked like me. And I just felt that. I just grabbed him and started crying and saying, I love you, I miss you so much. And he's like, Mommy, it's okay, I'm okay. Something, I need to show you something. And so we're walking down this path, and I always had this reoccurring dream. I haven't had it for a couple of years, but I always had this reoccurring dream over and over and over again. And it was this house, like a mansion, and it was like 3 stories, and down to the color, it was like a olive green and maroon, and it was this beautiful house. It was like a Victorian house, and I see it up on the hill, but then there's this spaceship that's like right by it, and he's like, Mommy, this is, I gotta show you this, come on. So I walk up to it, he takes me, and I walk up to it, and he's all, Mommy, this is our ship, this is our ship. And I'm like, checking it out, I'm like, wow, this is cool, this is awesome. And I walk up to it, and I like put my hand on it, and it like went like a bubble, like, and then it reconformed back to the shape that it was. And I'm going up, Angel's taking me up the ramp, and I go in, and I'm just like, I'm at awe, and I'm like, wow, this is so awesome. And then he like goes, I go like a couple steps down, and there's this big huge like wraparound couch, and then I walk up to the window, or the edge of, you know, where it was like this window, and it was tinted. And then I walk up to it, and it just like opened up, and I could see everything. I could see all the people, all the houses, everything. And then I stepped back and it just like tinted again, and then it looked like a wall. It was really awesome. And then so around the other side to the left of me, there was these the control panel, and there was 5 seats, and I walk immediately to my seat. I just knew it was my seat. I sit down, checking it out. I grab onto the steering wheel, and it conforms to my hand, and it wakes up, and all these lights start lighting up, and my son Angel, he's like, Mommy, I'm gonna come get you. I'm gonna come get you in this ship. I'm the captain of this ship for now. But when I come get you, Daddy will be the captain. And I was like, yeah, wow, son. Wow, that's awesome. And I was just, it woke up as I was holding onto the, like, steering wheel. It moved, and I mean, I pulled back on it. It lifted up off the ground. And then I went like, I was going side to side, and it was going side to side, and I'm like checking it out, going like, this is so awesome. This is just so awesome. And then my son Angel, he's like, well, Mommy, it's time for you to go. You gotta go. And I'm like, no, son, I don't want to go. And he's all, but Mommy, you need to go. I will come get you in this ship. I will come get you. You will see me again. And I'm like, okay, son, all right. And so I'm going, I was holding his hand, and he's like, come on, let's go. And I was like, okay, all right. We're going down this path, and I see, the first person I see is my husband's grandma on his dad's side that passed away. And she comes up to me, and I run up to her, and I grab her, and I tell her I love her, and tell her, you know, thank you. I know you're the one that took Angel. And she's all, yes, I did. I know. It's okay. It's not your, she's all, Mija, it's not your time. You need to go back. Anthony is a good man. You need to go back and take care of your niños. And I'm like, yes, Grandma, I know, I will. And then I told her I love her, and I gave her a big, huge hug and kisses, and then I keep going and down this path, and then I see my dad's, or not my dad's, but my husband's grandpa that passed away, his mom's dad, Grandpa Moschler. And I give him the same thing. I give him a big, huge hug and kisses, and tell him I love him and I miss him. And then he's like, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Anthony is a good man. You need to go home. You need to go home and take care of your children. And I'm like, yes, Grandpa. I know, Grandpa. I will. I love you. And I miss you. And he's all, I do too, but I'll be looking after you. I'll look after you, Anthony, and your children, and everybody. And I was like, okay, Grandpa. And then the last person I saw was my grandpa, my mom's dad. I had a very special bond with him because he kind of believed in the same thing me. He had that personal relationship with the higher power. He didn't go to church. He didn't have to go to church because he always used to tell me God's everywhere. God, I talked to him all the time. And he used to tell me that all through growing up, and so it was like I was a child again. And we were sitting at the corner of his house in Sacramento, where they lived, and he had this bench right by the garage, listening to the radio and eating peanuts, because that was his favorite nut, was peanuts. And we're sitting there, and it felt like hours went by, and I was playing with snails and roly-polies, And I was sitting there, you know, and it was like I was a child again. And then he's like, okay. He's like, okay, Sarah, it's time for you to go. You need to go. You need to go back. It's not your time. And I'm like, but Grandpa, I'm playing with those roly-polies and snails. He's all, well, it's okay. You need to go back. It's time. It's time. You need to go back. And I was like, okay, well, can I have more peanuts? And he's all, of course you can. So I grab a handful of peanuts, and then I got shot back into my body. And I woke up and I was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and they were like, because they shocked me and they brought me back. And so they also asked me all kinds of questions like, what's your name, what's your date of birth, what's your social security, and you know what happened. And I was like, yes, I do. And I was answering their questions and telling them my name and my social security number. And I was like, yes, we need to go to the hospital. I need to go to the hospital. And they're like, you know what happened? I was like, yes, I do. I had a heart attack. Come on, let's go to the hospital. We need to go to the hospital. And I arrived at the hospital. As I was going through the emergency doors, I saw my sister-in-law, or ex-sister-in-law now, Liz, and she comes running up to me and she's like, what happened? And I was like, I had a heart attack in the drive-thru of Taco Bell. She's like, what? Because she was there and she heard over the intercom that I was coming in on an ambulance. And so she ran to the emergency door and greeted me, and she was the first one I saw of my family. And then they gave me medicine to go to sleep and to relax my body because it took so much out of my body. My blood pressure, my pulse was racing, everything was racing, so they gave me medication for it to come down. So I was out for about a week, and I came through. I was in the hospital. It took a lot out of my body, but it was like I was enhanced. It was like everything, all my senses were heightened. It really strong hyphen, and like to the point where I was feeling spirits. I was in the room by myself, so I was feeling spirits like lined outside the door and coming in the door, and I was just like, I could hear them because they were very loud, and over all the doctors and the nurses that were happening out at the nurses' station, I could hear them over them. They were trapped. It was like they were trapped. They wanted help from me to like pass over. They had unfinished business, and mainly, it was unfinished business. And so for about a week, I felt them. They were coming at me, and at the end of the week, I had to tell them, because I'd be sitting in my room by myself, and I'd see this curtain move, and they were coming, and I could hear them, and they were telling me, please help me, and it'd be all different kinds of stories of them passing and had unfinished business, and I had to hurt me so bad. I had to tell them that they need to go away because it's too much. My body couldn't handle it, and they did. They went away. They respected me, and they went away. And so my family came to visit me, and I was telling because I lived in Eureka, 12 hours away from my family. So they came, and I told them my story right away, and I was telling everybody, the doctors and the nurses and my husband, and I was just like, this happened to me. This really, really happened to me. And they did all kinds of testing on me and everything, and then finally, the third week, I couldn't do it no more. I was like begging the doctors, please let me go home. Please, I can't take this no more. If you want me to get better, you need to send me home. I just had a 2-week-old baby. I need to go back to my baby. If you want me to heal, then you need to let me go home. And I was begging him, and then finally, the third week there, because they didn't want me to go, they still wanted to keep me in the hospital to do more testing, to observate me, and I was like, I can't. So they finally let me go home, but before they let me go home, I had to be fitted for this life vest. It was kind of new, and I was kind of probably their test dummy on it. I had to wear this vest 24/7, and it would monitor my heart, and it would shock me if I were to go into AFib or to go into having a heart attack again.